Hi everyone, this is a brand new FIFA channel dedicated to tips for beginners. If you want to become a competitive player or just want to improve at the game, then stick around for some essential FIFA tips. What I'm going to teach you in this series isn't just a bunch of random tips, it's a structured repertoire of FIFA basics that will help you to become a very solid player. First, I'll demonstrate each move or concept in its simplest form, and then move on to slightly more advanced techniques to implement into your game. So without further ado, let's dive into the bread and butter of the game, passing the ball. The first concept I'm going to explain is simple, but you may have taken it for granted. When you make a player pass, shoot or cross, you're essentially telling him to shape his foot, and often his body, in a particular way. You don't have to get too bogged down with this concept during a game, but it's important to understand what you're telling your player to do and when to tell him to do it. Take a look at how this player makes a pass. He opens up his body and plays the ball with the inside of his boot. This is called a side foot pass. To play a basic side foot pass, you press A on the Xbox controller or X on the PlayStation controller. This kind of pass plays the ball directly to the player's feet and is your go-to move. Remember to move the ball quickly. Most of the time you don't need to take several touches on the ball, especially in your own half. Opt to move the ball quickly in most areas of the pitch and don't dribble mindlessly. Passing quickly makes you more unpredictable and harder to play against. Players will find it harder to set up against you because you'll drag defenders out of position, which in turn opens more spaces for other attacking players. Take a look at how quick passing helps me to get in behind this opponent's defence. Passing the ball quickly from throw-ins, from the keeper's hands, and from deeper set pieces with care can be very useful. A key concept to understand is the counter-attack. When a team attacks, they tend to commit players into the opponent's half and generally move further up the pitch. If you win possession while the opponent is committed to their attack, you can usually take advantage with a quick counter-attack. Typically, this will involve quickly passing the ball forwards and then running into large spaces left open by committed players. Counter-attacking quickly and effectively can devastate opponents of all abilities. Remember to make good use of the large spaces on counter-attacks by running into them. When it comes to moving the ball quickly in counter-attacking or normal play, a key weapon in your arsenal is the drilled pass. To play a drilled pass, you hold RB and A on the Xbox controller or R1 and X on the PlayStation controller. This type of pass is very similar to the standard pass, but is played with more power and speed, and thus is more useful when playing a pass over a longer distance. Drilled passes are also harder to intercept, which means they can be used to pass through tighter spaces and more congested areas. You can also use drilled passes over short distances to help keep up the pace of your build-up play. You can even do drilled passes from your keeper's arms to help you give your counter-attack that extra momentum. It's important to glance at your radar from time to time. You can do so before passing to a player who's off screen, or when you're passing to a player at the edge of the screen and you're not sure what's going on behind him. In this example, I've picked up the ball with my keeper and I want to throw it to my right back. But because he's at the edge of the screen and I don't know what's going on behind him, I quickly check to see if there's a defender there before I pass to him. I can see on the radar that he's got a lot of space, so I quickly pass to him before the situation changes. This time I can see that a player off screen has a lot of space, so again I throw it to him quickly before a defender closes him down. As you become more adept at using the radar, you'll be able to use it to spot smaller gaps and make the perfect pass. In this clip, I'm looking to pass to my right winger who's tightly marked, but he manages to make a little bit of space away from the defender and moves slightly towards me so I know the pass is on. And these are just a couple of the ways you can use the radar. Another essential technique is to pass and move. This can open up an opportunity for something called a 1-2. To pass and move, you press LB and A on the Xbox controller or L1 and X on the PlayStation controller. The player you made the pass with will immediately make a run after passing the ball. If the defender doesn't anticipate the run and the attacker runs past him, the opportunity arises for a 1-2. This is where you immediately pass back to the player who made the run, taking the defender out of the game. Before you make a pass, you should consider your player's body position, his balance, and whether he has control over the ball. This might seem obvious, but the easiest place to pass to is directly in front of your player. When they have control of the ball, most players can play a pass from anywhere between 0 to 180 degrees. At a push, players can also play passes slightly behind them. But problems can arise when you try to force a pass beyond those angles. When you try to force a pass behind your player, it can throw them off balance, making the pass more likely to be slow or inaccurate, and also more likely to be intercepted.
United won the ball back here.
Sometimes it can be useful to do a back heel by holding left trigger while passing to the player behind you. A lot of the time, it's just safest and easiest to pass in the direction you're facing him. Alternatively, you can take a touch towards the player you want to pass to. If you take a touch towards the player you want to make a pass to, you'll have much more control over the pass you want to make. Taking more touches of the ball is a great way to make sure your player has control before making a pass. Letting go of run and slowing down before you make a pass is another way to ensure that your player has control of the pass he's going to make. Ultimately, it's a trade-off between steady, comfortable passing and quicker, riskier first-time passes. Get the combination right and you'll have a great passing move on your hands. It's important to understand that good passing consists of forwards, sideways and backwards passes. Obviously in football you need to move the ball forwards, but sometimes you'll need to pass sideways or backwards to craft a forwards pass. In this clip, I can see that my right winger is in a great position, but my path to him is blocked by an opponent. But if I pass backwards to my midfielder, I can craft an angle for the forwards pass. Also, if you're under pressure, passing backwards or sideways can ensure that you keep the ball. This is important as the more possession you have, the less your opponent has, and the less you have to defend. And this brings me on to the final part of the video, the 4 phases of play. The 4 phases are defending, when you don't have the ball and you're set up to not concede a goal or win the ball back. Transition to defend, the seconds after you lose the ball before you set up to defend. Attack, when you're in possession of the ball. and transition to attack, the moments after you win the ball back from the opponent. In the moments after you win the ball back, you must decide whether to move the ball forwards quickly to spring a counter-attack, or whether to pass the ball around, generally playing more backwards and sideways passes in order to recycle possession and dominate the ball. During a game, if you find that trying to spring quick counters keeps resulting in losing the ball, try to recycle possession with slower build-up play that will probably involve more sideways and backwards passes. That said, if your build-up play is too slow, you'll find it hard to break down your opponent's defence. So pick your moments to pass forwards and make sure you find players that are in pockets of space. It's ultimately a case of recognising the flow of the game and using a mixture of forwards, backwards and sideways passes. And that brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer them. In my next video, I'm going to discuss lob passes and through balls, as well as a bit more football theory. So I'll see you in the next one.